Have you ever felt like your relationship is slowly heading down a dead-end road and you can't quite figure out why? You try so hard to make things work, but it feels like you're stuck in the same cycle, and no matter what you do, it doesn't seem to improve. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Often, we overlook small signs in relationships, thinking that things will get better. But those overlooked signals can be the very things that slowly drain our sense of self. We invest so much in a relationship, but sometimes we lose ourselves in the process. We often hear about love being about sacrifice. But is it really? Can love, in its purest form, truly ask us to give up who we are for the sake of someone else? If we look deeper, we realize that love should never force us to abandon our values, our identity, or our growth. Love, in its healthiest form, is about mutual respect, understanding, and growth. Tough as it might sound, love is not about giving up yourself. It's not about constantly sacrificing your needs or desires for the other person. True love is built on respect and the ability to evolve together. It's about lifting each other up, not holding each other back. A healthy relationship doesn't demand that you lose yourself. Instead, it encourages you to become the best version of yourself. When someone truly loves you, they won't ask you to change in ways that harm your sense of self. They'll appreciate you for who you are, flaws and all, and they'll want to grow with you, not make you shrink to fit their expectations. This is where respect comes in. Respect is the foundation of a relationship, and without it, we risk falling into toxic patterns. So, why do we often ignore these red flags? The reality is, toxic patterns don't always appear all at once. They often creep in gradually. At first, everything seems fine. Everything seems normal. But over time, small behaviors, words, or demands begin to feel a little off. You might be asked to compromise on things that are important to you, or you might find yourself adjusting to make your partner comfortable, even at the expense of your own peace. These patterns can be subtle, but they are dangerous. If you find yourself sacrificing your individuality, or if you're constantly told to accept things as they are, you might be slipping into a relationship that isn't helping you grow. This is where the real danger lies. When we fail to recognize these signs early, we risk losing our emotional well-being, our self-worth, and our sense of identity. And over time, we might find ourselves in a relationship where we feel more drained than fulfilled. A relationship that was supposed to bring us joy starts to feel like a weight we can't carry anymore. The truth is, love should never make you feel small or insignificant. It should make you feel stronger, more confident, and more secure in who you are. When you're in a relationship that truly supports you, your partner will respect your boundaries and encourage your growth. They won't try to change you into someone you're not, or demand that you sacrifice your core values. We often think of love as the ultimate sacrifice, but true love respects who you are and supports your growth. It's not about giving up anything, it's about sharing your journey with someone who walks alongside you. So, the next time you find yourself questioning whether a relationship is draining you, ask yourself, am I still the person I was when I entered this relationship, or have I lost parts of myself? If the answer is the latter, it's time to reassess where you are and what you truly need. In the end, love should never ask you to lose yourself. It should bring out the best in you, help you grow, and encourage your individuality. You deserve a relationship that empowers you, not one that makes you question your worth or identity. Remember, the strongest relationships are those where both partners support each other's growth and respect each other's boundaries. And in a healthy relationship, you never have to sacrifice your self-respect for the sake of love. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where, despite everything seeming fine on the surface, something feels off in your relationship? You might not be able to put your finger on it right away, but there's a subtle, underlying discomfort that lingers. This feeling often arises from what Carl Jung, the renowned psychologist, called the shadow self. The shadow self is the unconscious part of our psyche that holds all the aspects of ourselves we deny, suppress, or refuse to acknowledge. These aspects can be qualities we deem negative, shameful, or simply traits we're not ready to confront. And the truth is, these shadows don't disappear. Instead, they manifest in unexpected ways, often affecting the dynamics of our relationships. In the context of a relationship, the shadow self can appear in subtle ways. Sometimes, it's in the way we project our insecurities onto our partner. Other times, it's in the behavior of the partner themselves. Actions or words that reveal a hidden darkness they haven't yet reconciled. These shadows often show up in the form of anger, jealousy, possessiveness, or emotional manipulation. At first glance, these behaviors may seem like isolated incidents, but over time, they reveal deeper psychological patterns that are harder to ignore. For example, imagine a partner who often criticizes your actions or decisions, but refuses to acknowledge their own flaws. This is a classic manifestation of the shadow self. They may say things like, "You always make things harder than they need to be," yet refuse to take responsibility for their own mistakes. This dynamic is an unconscious projection of their own unresolved issues. Perhaps they struggle with perfectionism or an inability to accept their own imperfections. Instead of confronting these flaws within themselves, they project them onto you, making you feel responsible for their discomfort. Another example might be the partner who constantly blames their exes for the failure of their past relationships, painting them as crazy or toxic. In doing so, they avoid looking at their own contribution to those failed relationships. This tendency to blame others and never self-reflect is another way the shadow self sneaks into the relationship. It can create a toxic pattern where the partner refuses to take ownership of their actions, projecting their unresolved issues onto those they've been involved with. In relationships, these shadows are incredibly powerful because they operate beneath the surface, often undetected. At first, you might not even notice the subtle ways in which these behaviors affect you. But as time passes, the impact becomes clearer. You might start feeling drained, confused, or even emotionally manipulated, all because of these unconscious projections that you weren't aware of at the beginning. Understanding the shadow self can be transformative, not only for your personal growth, but for your relationships as well. By acknowledging these hidden parts of ourselves, we can learn to confront them rather than project them onto others. In relationships, recognizing these patterns early can help break the cycle of emotional manipulation or unhealthy behaviors. It allows us to choose partners who are not only emotionally available, but also willing to face their own shadows and grow together. So, the next time you sense that something is off in your relationship, ask yourself, what shadows might we be projecting onto each other? Confronting these deeper parts of yourself can lead to a more authentic and healthier connection with your partner. Only then can you truly grow, both individually and together. At first, hearing someone say, "Accept me as I am," might feel like a declaration of honesty, an invitation to embrace their true self. After all, we all want to be loved for who we truly are, right? The phrase may sound like a plea for authenticity, a genuine request for acceptance. But if we dig deeper, we begin to realize that this statement can often be more of an excuse than an invitation. When someone says, "Accept me as I am," it's important to ask, what exactly are they asking you to accept? In many cases, this phrase becomes a way to justify toxic or harmful behavior. It becomes an easy escape from the responsibility of personal growth. Instead of acknowledging their flaws or working on their issues, they use this phrase as a shield. They are asking you to accept their shortcomings without any intention of improving. What they may be saying, in reality, is, "I don't want to change, and I don't want to be held accountable for my actions." But here's the thing. True love and a healthy relationship can't exist if one partner refuses to evolve. Relationships are built on growth both as individuals and as a couple. Change and growth are inevitable parts of life, and no one should expect to remain the same forever. When one person in the relationship is stagnant while the other continues to grow, a dangerous imbalance occurs. This imbalance can quickly lead to resentment, frustration, and a sense of emotional disconnection. Imagine being in a relationship where you're constantly trying to improve yourself, but your partner resists any form of change. They refuse to confront their own issues, and instead place the burden on you to accept everything about them without question. Over time, this dynamic becomes exhausting. One partner is evolving, pushing themselves to be better, while the other stays stuck in the same place. It's not fair, and it's certainly not sustainable. True acceptance in a relationship doesn't mean tolerating unhealthy behavior or refusing to challenge each other to be better. Acceptance should be about embracing the entirety of a person, including their flaws, but it must come with a shared commitment to growth. If one person is unwilling to change, it creates a relationship dynamic where growth is one-sided, leaving the other partner emotionally drained and disillusioned. It can lead to a place where you feel like you are carrying the weight of the relationship alone. So, when you hear the phrase, "accept me as I am," it's crucial to ask yourself, is this an invitation for authenticity, or is this an excuse for stagnation? The true essence of love isn't about blindly accepting harmful behavior or a refusal to change. It's about mutual respect, where both individuals are committed to bettering themselves and the relationship. A relationship should be a space for growth, where both partners support each other's development, not just accept each other's flaws. If you're the only one changing and growing, it's time to reconsider whether this relationship is truly serving you, or if you've unknowingly accepted a dynamic that's holding you back. The key to a healthy relationship is not accepting someone as they are, but encouraging them to become the best version of themselves, just as you should strive to do for yourself. Have you ever heard someone say, "All my exes were bad people," or something similar? At first, this might sound like a simple statement about past relationships, but when we look closer, it can reveal a lot about a person's ability or inability to reflect on their own actions. From a psychological perspective, this statement often points to a deeper issue: the inability to take responsibility for one's role in past relationships. When someone repeatedly blames their ex-partners for everything that went wrong, it's a red flag. It suggests that they are not self-aware enough to look inward and ask, "What part did I play in this?" Instead, they project all the blame onto the other person. This inability to reflect on their own behavior is a key indicator of emotional immaturity. In healthy relationships, both partners are able to look back at the past, acknowledge their mistakes, and learn from them. But when someone consistently blames others, it's a sign they are avoiding the uncomfortable work of self-reflection. Imagine being with someone who constantly speaks poorly about their exes, casting them as villains in every story. In this scenario, they are not just talking about the past. They're showing you how they will likely view you in the future if things don't work out. This person is projecting their unresolved issues onto everyone they've been with, and soon enough, that narrative could shift toward you. The truth is, no one is perfect, and every relationship has its challenges. It takes maturity to admit our own mistakes, grow from them, and apply those lessons to future relationships. Let's contrast this with someone who approaches their past relationships with self-reflection. For example, imagine a person who says, "I had some great moments, but I also learned a lot about myself. I realize I could have communicated better or handled certain situations differently. This shows emotional maturity and the willingness to take ownership of their actions. They are not blaming their ex-partner for everything that went wrong. Instead, they are acknowledging their role and looking for ways to improve. This is the type of person who is capable of personal growth and who can bring those lessons into a future relationship. The difference here is clear: self-reflection versus projection. A person who can reflect on their own behavior and learn from their mistakes is someone who is emotionally intelligent and capable of growth. They understand that relationships are not just about pointing fingers, but about growing together and improving as individuals. In contrast, someone who constantly blames their exes is likely stuck in a cycle of victimhood, never truly learning from their experiences or evolving emotionally. In love, personal growth is essential. It's about learning from each relationship, recognizing where you can improve, and applying those lessons going forward. A person who can take responsibility for their part in past relationships and strives to be better is someone who will contribute positively to a future partnership. But if someone continuously blames their exes without reflecting on their own flaws, they are likely to repeat the same patterns again and again, creating a cycle of emotional stagnation. So, the next time you hear someone say, "All my exes were bad people," ask yourself, are they avoiding self-reflection? Because true maturity comes not from pointing the finger, but from taking ownership of one's own actions. Only then can you grow and build a stronger, healthier relationship. Have you ever heard someone say, "If you really loved me, you'd do what I ask"? At first glance, this may seem like a simple request, a way for someone to express their needs. But in reality, this phrase is often a hidden form of manipulation, using love as a tool to control the other person. It may seem innocent, even heartfelt, but the deeper implication is a dangerous one. This is not a request. It's an emotional demand, and when left unchallenged, it can undermine the foundation of the relationship itself. Let's break this down. The phrase, "If you really loved me, you'd do what I ask," introduces a condition into the relationship. It suggests that love is not about mutual respect and understanding, but about compliance and control. True love is not about demanding that someone sacrifice their autonomy for the sake of the other. Love should never come with conditions attached. Instead, it should be about respecting each other's individuality and freedom, allowing both partners to express their needs, while also supporting each other's growth. However, when someone uses this phrase, they're not valuing the other person's autonomy. Instead, they're subtly manipulating them by linking love to obedience. This shifts the dynamic from a partnership of equals into a power struggle, where one person holds the emotional power and uses love as leverage. Over time, this can create an unhealthy pattern in the relationship, where one partner is constantly making sacrifices or giving up parts of themselves to meet the demands of the other. Imagine a situation where one partner continuously asks the other to do things that they're not comfortable with, under the guise of love. It could be something small at first, like asking for a favor or a change in behavior. But gradually, these requests grow larger, until the partner is expected to compromise their values, their time, or even their own happiness in order to keep the other person satisfied. What starts as a simple request becomes an emotional manipulation, where one partner's needs and desires are always prioritized over the other's. This is where the danger lies. When love is used as a bargaining chip, the relationship becomes less about sharing life together and more about controlling the other person. It's no longer a partnership, it's a one-sided transaction, where one person constantly gives and the other constantly takes. Over time, this dynamic can lead to feelings of resentment, frustration, and a loss of identity. When you're constantly being asked to sacrifice your own needs and desires, it becomes impossible to maintain a healthy sense of self. True love, in its healthiest form, is about mutual respect and freedom. It's about both partners supporting each other's dreams, growth, and independence. When someone loves you, they should not be asking you to compromise your beliefs or go against your values to prove that you care. They should be encouraging you to be the best version of yourself while also being willing to make changes and compromises in return. Love should be a partnership where both people feel safe, supported, and respected. So, the next time you hear someone say, "If you really loved me, you'd do what I ask," take a step back and reflect. Ask yourself, is this request coming from a place of love, or is it an attempt to manipulate and control? True love never demands, it encourages. It never manipulates, it respects. If love is truly at the heart of the relationship, it should feel empowering, not like a constant power struggle. Love should never be a battlefield where one person is always trying to win. It should be a journey where both partners walk side by side, respecting each other's boundaries and encouraging each other's growth. Have you ever heard someone say, "You're not good enough for me"? At first, it may seem like a simple criticism, something that could easily be brushed off. But the truth is, this phrase goes much deeper than just a passing comment. It's a direct attack on your self-worth and your value as a person. It's not just about performance, it's about making you question who you are at your core. When someone says, "You're not good enough for me," they are doing more than pointing out something they want changed. They are telling you that who you are as a person, at your very essence, isn't enough to meet their standards. This statement chips away at your self-esteem and places the entire burden of improvement on your shoulders. The impact is psychological, as it causes you to doubt yourself and feel like you're always falling short, no matter how hard you try. It creates an environment where you feel like you can never truly measure up, always needing to do more to gain approval. This kind of criticism isn't just destructive, it's draining. Imagine constantly feeling like you have to prove your worth, not only to your partner, but to yourself. Every action, every word you say, and every decision you make starts to be viewed through the lens of whether it's good enough. Over time, you become emotionally exhausted, feeling like you're constantly chasing after an elusive standard that's always shifting. No matter what you do, it feels like it's never enough. This is the cycle of self-doubt that can take root when someone devalues you in this way. In a healthy relationship, love and respect should never come with conditions. A truly loving relationship is built on mutual support and understanding, not on constant comparisons or critiques. You should feel safe, valued, and accepted for who you are, not constantly measured against an impossible ideal. No one should ever have to feel like their worth is dependent on meeting the standards set by someone else. True love does not include belittling or demeaning one another. It's not about one partner putting the other down to make them feel inferior. Rather, it's about building each other up, celebrating each other's strengths, and accepting each other's imperfections. If your partner continually makes you feel like you're not good enough, this isn't a reflection of your worth, it's a reflection of their inability to love you fully and unconditionally. The constant pressure to be good enough can be emotionally damaging. It distorts your perception of self and creates a toxic cycle of trying to earn love through performance, rather than experiencing love as an unconditional bond. You start to lose sight of your own value, questioning whether you're enough for anyone, let alone your partner. This is where the danger lies. When the validation of your worth becomes tied to someone else's approval, you risk losing your sense of self. So, the next time someone says, "You're not good enough for me," take a step back and reflect. Is this truly love? Is love supposed to feel like a constant competition, a race where you're never quite reaching the finish line? In a healthy relationship, love is built on respect, acceptance, and appreciation. It doesn't demand you change who you are or make you feel less than what you are. True love values you for everything you are, not for what you can become to meet someone else's standards. Have you ever heard someone say, "Just do what I want"? On the surface, it may seem like an innocent request, but in reality, it's a powerful tool for manipulation, often disguised as a simple demand. The coldness, anger, or passive-aggressive tone behind this statement reveals a deeper issue, a desire to control the relationship. Instead of communicating openly, the person is using these indirect methods to assert dominance, making you feel like your needs and desires don't matter. This kind of communication, or lack thereof, creates an environment where power struggles thrive. The moment someone uses anger or passive-aggressive behavior to control you, the lines of healthy communication become blurred. Instead of discussing feelings, needs, and concerns directly, they create tension through subtle threats or veiled requests. This leads to confusion and frustration because you are never sure where you stand. You're left constantly guessing whether you're making decisions for yourself or just appeasing someone else's unspoken demands. Relationships thrive on open, honest communication. When one partner resorts to indirect, controlling behaviors, it erodes trust and creates an unhealthy dynamic. If every conversation feels like a game of emotional chess, where one person is constantly trying to outmaneuver the other, it can feel exhausting. Over time, you may find yourself feeling like a pawn, uncertain of your own agency in the relationship. It's easy to lose your sense of self when your every move is scrutinized or dictated by someone else's expectations. This type of behavior can be incredibly damaging because it silences the voice of one partner. When communication is indirect or passive-aggressive, it leaves room for assumptions and misunderstandings. It may start small. Perhaps a cold comment here, a sarcastic remark there, but over time, these small acts of manipulation add up. You begin to question your own worth, wondering if your needs and boundaries even matter in the grand scheme of things. The importance of maintaining clarity and directness in communication cannot be overstated. A relationship should be a space where both partners feel heard, valued, and respected. When one person uses emotional manipulation to gain control, it distorts that space. True love is built on respect and transparency, not on a constant struggle for power. If you feel like you're constantly walking on eggshells, trying to avoid triggering the other person's anger or displeasure, then it's time to reassess the relationship. Healthy relationships are based on mutual respect, where both individuals feel safe to express their emotions and desires without fear of retribution or manipulation. The moment you start feeling like your partner is using their emotions to control you, that's a red flag. You should never have to second-guess your worth or your right to make decisions for yourself. So, the next time you hear, "Just do what I want," take a step back. Is this about a partnership, or is it about control? Communication should be a two-way street, not a one-way road where only one person's needs are considered. You deserve to be in a relationship where your voice matters, where your feelings are valued, and where you don't have to fear the manipulation of your emotions. A relationship built on genuine understanding and respect can never thrive on the back of passive-aggressive tactics. Always stand firm in your own worth and refuse to be part of someone's emotional game. As we've discussed, relationships can be full of subtle psychological games that, if left unchecked, can erode your sense of self. Whether it's the passive-aggressive control of "just do what I want," the projection of blame like "all my exes were bad people," or the constant undermining of your self-worth with phrases like "you're not good enough for me." These signs indicate deeper emotional manipulation. And it's not always easy to recognize these behaviors when you're in the thick of it, especially when love and affection are involved. But recognizing these patterns is the first and most crucial step toward protecting yourself. By understanding the dynamics at play, you become empowered to make better decisions, to set healthy boundaries, and most importantly, to protect your own mental and emotional well-being. Relationships should lift you up, not tear you down. They should be a space where you grow, where you feel seen, heard, and loved for who you are, not for who someone else wants you to be. If a relationship starts to feel more like an emotional battleground than a place of mutual support, it's time to take a step back and assess whether it's truly serving your best interests. At the heart of it, self-protection is about knowing your worth. It's about realizing that you deserve a relationship where mutual respect is the foundation, not manipulation, control, or constant emotional strain. But here's the key. You cannot expect others to treat you with respect if you don't first treat yourself with respect. It all starts within. You have the power to choose who gets to be in your life, and you have the power to walk away from toxic dynamics that threaten your peace and happiness. As Carl Jung once said, we cannot control the actions of others, but we can control how we respond. And this is such a powerful truth. While you may not be able to change the behavior of the people around you, you have full control over how you choose to react. You have the ability to walk away from situations that no longer serve you, to say no when necessary, and to protect your emotional boundaries. Taking control of your own reactions is not just about avoiding toxic situations. It's about creating a life that's true to who you are, not one dictated by the whims or manipulations of others. So, I encourage you to take a moment to evaluate the relationships in your life. Are you in a relationship that respects your individuality? Are you feeling free, supported, and valued? Or are you constantly questioning your worth, trying to meet someone else's standards? No one deserves to live in a cycle of emotional manipulation. If you find yourself in such a relationship, it's time to take a step back and reevaluate whether it's worth holding on to. Trust that, even if it's difficult, your peace and self-respect should always come first. Remember, relationships should be about mutual growth and support, not a struggle for control or validation. When both partners are committed to respecting each other's boundaries and helping each other grow, the relationship becomes a source of strength, not a source of stress. It's time to stop tolerating unhealthy dynamics and start protecting your energy, your heart, and your sense of self. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I hope it's given you some valuable insights into recognizing toxic relationship patterns and how to protect yourself from them. Relationships, at their core, should be a place of mutual respect and love, but it's up to us to ensure we don't fall into unhealthy patterns. I'd love to hear your thoughts and stories. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you were being manipulated? Or maybe you've learned valuable lessons about maintaining your self-worth in relationships. Please share your experiences in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more videos on personal development and building healthy, empowering relationships. Together, we can create a space where we uplift each other and work toward the relationships we truly deserve. Stay strong, stay true to yourself, and remember, you are enough just as you are.